Chandra Talpade Mohanty is here today on the occasion to present her new volume, which she co-edited together with Linda Carty, Feminist Freedom Warriors. It is part of a project she will talk about more afterwards. It was actually the Frauensolidarität, a women's organization here in Vienna, who took the initiative to invite Chandra Talpade Mohanty to Vienna, and we were very happy to be asked to cooperate in this event, and that Chandra accepted and agreed to come to Vienna for the very first time to speak here. Chandra Talpade Mohanty is a key figure in feminist anti-colonial movement and research. Her texts, her publications like Under Western Eyes or Feminism Without Borders are key texts, and they challenged and changed the discourse on global feminism. And we are so happy to have you here today.
The larger project is a video archive called Feminist Freedom Warriors, and it is a project that came out of work that Linda Carty, my colleague, and I did, where we in fact surveyed a number of feminist, anti-capitalist, feminist scholar activists around the world, with feminist scholar activists who have been involved in multiple social movements all over the world, and who then we have conversations with about their own stories of coming to political consciousness, how they come to, in fact, create the kind of commitments that they have, and what kind of courage it takes to stay the course in this. And that, as well as how they think analytically about the questions of state violence, of capitalist violence around the world, about its differential impact on women in different communities, class, caste, religion, race, etc. And how that thinking is then important for social movements themselves. So a number of these women that we speak to, at least of our generation, have been long-time warriors in these movements, and have been both the thinkers and the doers in these movements. And then we went on from there to understand that this has to be an intergenerational project. Really important question, how those of us who are situated in the global north and have resources and funds can actually work on an equal, or at least partnership, if not equal. Equality, I think, is very difficult, but we could work in partnership so that, in fact, we are not in the situation of being, you know, sort of the imperial feminists in relation to women in the global south. So I would say there are 3 steps that I keep in mind in these kinds of cross-cultural collaborations across communities where people have different power, right? Different levels of power. The first is, I think, you always have to pay attention to the kind of analytical framework that we are working with. So if development is not seen as something where we in the North have achieved it, and folks in the South are working towards what we have, right, which is a clearly hierarchical and colonial model. I think if it is not seen like that, but seen instead as development which cannot be achieved without social justice, and social justice is not just for us, it's for them as well. So then it becomes a framework where, at least in the beginning, you begin by saying, people know what they want in those spaces that we're working with. People have a critical analysis of what is difficult and in their lives, and what kind of resources they need, and what kind of change they want, right? 2, I think we educate ourselves about the histories and the praxis and the tactics and the politics of those on the ground who are working in the fields that we want to be working with them in. Because the kind of hegemonic knowledges that are available to us are often knowledges that are sanctioned by the universities and by academic institutions, and they often assume that knowledge is only produced in certain spaces and not in others. And then the third piece is to develop, I think, priorities perhaps that are not our own priorities in the work we're doing cross-culturally, but the priorities that are generated by our partners in the Global South who we are working with, because our institutions haven't changed still in the ways that they need to change, right? So we would need to be decolonizing our knowledges and our institutions